If the couple during their portrait session are having a bit of a fight during their portrait session, or maybe they are having a disagreement, a very short misunderstanding during their portrait session, that is not the time for you as a wedding photographer to actually pry into their conversation and try to find out who is right or who is wrong. That is you just being very insensitive and actually just embarrassing yourself in front of the client. Take for instance, as a photographer, you walk into a room, or as a wedding photographer, you walk into a room on a wedding day and you find out that the bride's necklace got broken. Maybe it fell on the floor and it got broken. What would you do? Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that is very vital and crucial for every wedding photographer out there and every photographer in general, and that is emotional intelligence. As a wedding photographer, or as a photographer generally, you have to have emotional intelligence as relating with your clients, as relating to people you shoot. First of all, photography is actually people's business, so you tend to meet diverse people. You tend to meet different people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different beliefs, and you have to relate with them in a manner where they are very comfortable to stand in front of your camera and to take any picture you ask them to take. Basically, the only way you can have every client or everyone that stands in front of your camera to do everything you want them to say is by being emotionally intelligent. This is the aspect where a lot of photographers actually miss it. They feel like learning about emotional intelligence as a photographer is actually not a skill that is worth learning, as long as they know their ISO, they know their aperture, they know all the technicalities of photography. Yes, they are already photographers and they are good photographers, but that is not what distinguishes you as a photographer. Importantly, as a wedding photographer, you have to know how to relate with people and how to make them most comfortable when you speak to them, when you shoot them, and this would also affect the way they perceive you. This will also affect the reviews you would get immediately after your encounter with them. Immediately after that shoot, after that wedding, you're going to get reviews. So your reviews is going to be based not only on your delivery as a photographer, that is your technical delivery, maybe delivery of good pictures and everything. Also, your emotional intelligence is going to be part of the review. It's going to be part of the reason why some people or some clients would still come back to you to book you. And the first thing we'll be talking about today is how to be emotionally intelligent as a photographer in general. How to be emotionally intelligent, how to know the moment when you need to actually talk to your clients, the way and the manner in which to approach your clients to get the best response from them. You get a lot of photographers having to say that, oh, this bride was rude to me, oh, this person was rude to me, this person did not speak well. Don't get me wrong, I know you work with different people that probably may have a bad day or something, and then they would eventually transfer that aggression onto you. But then you need to know, you need to even be emotionally intelligent on how to manage that particular energy that you're getting. You need to know how to manage it. You need to know what to do, what to say to them, and what not to say to them. So first of all, I'll be painting a scenario. Take for instance, as a photographer, you walk into a room, or as a wedding photographer, you walk into a room on a wedding day and you find out that the bride's necklace got broken. Maybe it fell on the floor and it got broken. What would you do? I asked one of my interns this particular question, and then the response he gave was, he said that he's going to tell the bride that the shoot is still going to go well, that even if the necklace is broken, that they are still going to have good pictures. And I immediately told him that you're wrong. You don't actually try to deceive people, or you don't try to make them feel, or you don't make them feel as though maybe their feelings are not valid or something. Actually, that particular necklace, it was carefully curated, and most times the way brides and the way women are wired, they actually know what they want, and even if you bring a second replacement, maybe something else for them to use on their wedding day, they might not feel as comfortable as what they first chose or envisioned for their wedding day. So basically, in such situations, you're meant to understand as a photographer how to actually relate with them and make them feel better, how to actually give them a good experience, even though you know that something is actually wrong, maybe with their jewelry, with their makeup, maybe they are complaining about a family member not coming early. Even though they are worried about any single thing, you have to be emotionally intelligent as a wedding photographer to actually just calm them down. As a photographer in general, you have to know how to be emotionally intelligent so as to give the best experience to your clients. So we're going to be talking about a number of factors that would actually help you be more emotionally intelligent when it comes to actually dealing with your clients. Remember, as a photographer, you're not just selling good pictures, you are also selling the experience. So that experience has to be worthwhile. So you have to be emotionally intelligent in order to give them the best experience and for you to even get the best review from your work as a photographer and even as a wedding photographer. The first key we're actually going to be talking about is avoiding the area of problem and focusing on what is working. On a wedding day, if the necklace of a bride actually falls down and gets broken, you actually telling the bride that the pictures will come out looking really well even without the necklace that was carefully curated, a necklace that could have been passed down from maybe her generations, maybe from her grandmother to her mother and then to her, is you actually invalidating her feelings at that particular moment. No one would actually go through the process of actually shopping for a necklace or a custom-made jewelry and not want to use it on their wedding day. So what you shouldn't do as a wedding photographer or as a photographer in general to be emotionally intelligent towards your client is actually not focusing on what is broken, that is avoiding the area of problem. You can avoid the area of problem by not speaking about that particular area that the bride is worried about, but then you can focus on what is working. Take for instance, if the necklace fell down and it got broken and she's crying, you can talk about her makeup. You can tell her that, oh my god, even though you are crying, your makeup is still staying, your makeup is not actually smudged, your makeup actually looks good, like it's not even, your makeup foundation is not moving anywhere, it's still staying really well on your face. Any bride would actually be encouraged by this particular statement. So instead of focusing and reassuring her on the broken necklace, which would even make you look insensitive to the bride or whoever is going through that particular situation, actually just focus on what is working. You can look at her shoe, you can look at the shoe of the bride and actually just compliment the shoe of the bride. Look at anything that is working. Take for instance, if she ordered the shoe from maybe Italy, she ordered the shoe from France, or maybe she got it when she went on vacation for somewhere, you can actually just look at the shoe, just pick the shoe up in your hand and you can just compliment it. You can tell the bride, oh my god, this shoe looks so nice, I love the color of the shoe, the combination of this particular shoe and your outfit is just going to be magical. In pictures it's going to come out looking really well. That is you being emotionally intelligent. You avoiding the area of problem doesn't mean that you don't care about that area of problem, but this is you making your client, making your bride actually feel comfortable. This is you making your bride actually just calm down, and then when you have her to be calm, then you can get really good pictures despite the situation, despite whatever is going on around you. So it is very important for you as a wedding photographer to know this particular point. Don't focus on the problem, actually focus on what is working. When you compliment the shoe, you actually make the stylist look good. Whoever picked out that shoe, you actually make that person look good. When you compliment the makeup, you make the makeup artist look good in front of the client. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. And guess what? You always want to have your clients happy, because that is the only only way you can deliver premium value to your clients. You don't want them tensed up, you don't want them crying, you don't want your bride actually crying on her wedding day. That is not a good start to a wedding day for you as a wedding photographer. So make them as comfortable as possible. Make them know that you actually care about what they are going through. Don't be insensitive as a wedding photographer to actually just tell them that, okay, the shoot is actually going to go well despite your necklace is broken or something. That would actually just make you look as though you just want to take your pictures and just get it over with. You just want them to stop crying and just move ahead and just continue with the pictures. That is not you being emotionally intelligent. Always avoid the area of problem and focus on what is working. The next key would actually be talking about is actually knowing when to step in and when to step out. This is where a lot of photographers actually make the mistake. This is where a lot of photographers actually make a mistake of actually just stepping in when they are meant to step out and then stepping out when they are meant to step in. You have to be emotionally intelligent to know the kind of situation, to read the room and to understand the situation at hand, whatever scenario is playing out, and to know if you should step in as a wedding photographer or if you should step back. This is where a lot of photographers may seem very insensitive to their clients. So you should always know scenarios that you should actually just step in and try to manage that situation, or you should know scenarios where you should actually just step back and let them have a moment. Take for instance the example that we made earlier about the bride's necklace falling to the ground and getting broken. If the bride is crying at that particular point and she doesn't want to talk to anyone, that is not the time for you as a wedding photographer or as a photographer in general to step into that situation and try to manage it. Sometimes some people just need some time alone to get themselves together, and then they would move on to continue their day, and then they would move on to being happy again. So you don't have to manage every single situation. Actually know when to step in and when to step out. Know when to speak and when not to speak. Sometimes it is best for you to let them actually just have their moment, and then once you see that they are a bit more calm, you can then step in and try to make them feel better as a wedding photographer. Remember, you are selling an experience and you're not just selling pictures to your clients. So you should actually give them the best experience from their wedding. So if they need a moment to themselves, actually just step back and just allow them have their moment. For instance, if the couple during their portrait session are having a bit of a fight during their portrait session, or maybe they are having a disagreement, a very short misunderstanding during their portrait session, that is not the time for you as a wedding photographer to actually pry into their conversation and try to find out who is right or who is wrong. That is you just being very insensitive and actually just embarrassing yourself in front of the client. That would only open the way to making the entire day very awkward. So you should actually just step back in that scenario and let them actually have their moment, have their disagreement, and settle it. Most disagreements during a wedding day do not even last up to 2 minutes. So you can actually take that 2 minutes and just tell everyone, okay, can we take 5? Can we come back in 5 minutes and just let everybody just take a minute to just rest and all. That is you being very emotionally intelligent, giving the couple some time, a bit of time to actually settle their differences. Guess what? You would not get the best results from their portrait session unless they are happy with each other. You would not get the best results if the bride is not happy with the groom, or if the groom is not happy with the bride. So actually just give them that time, give them that space to actually just settle whatever it is that they are having a disagreement about, and just let them have their moment, and then you can then step in after a few moments and then continue your session. This is you being very emotionally intelligent. Also, on a wedding day, if you discover that maybe the bride is crying and the groom is actually consoling her, maybe because she is remembering her late mom or her late dad, or vice versa, or maybe the father of the groom or the mother of the groom is actually praying for them, the father of the bride or the mother of the bride is actually praying for them on their wedding day, and they are actually shedding tears, that is not the time for you as a wedding photographer to kind of try to to arrange and orchestrate that moment or to perfect that moment. What you should do as a wedding photographer is actually stand a bit away from them. Don't encroach on their personal space, and actually just try to get really good angles from where you are standing. Actually just switch angles and make sure you are not disrupting that moment. What we find a lot of photographers actually doing in that particular moment is trying to like make that moment perfect, telling them that, okay, can you turn in this certain way? Okay, can I put my backlight behind you to light the tears? That is what you shouldn't do as a wedding photographer. You shouldn't try to obstruct very organic moments. You should actually let moments flow and just make the best out of every moment that you come across on a wedding day, not trying to make it perfect. Trust me, you only need perfect moments. You don't need that picture to be perfect. So if you have the perfect moment, then you have a perfect picture. You don't need a perfect picture when you have a perfect moment. So actually just make that perfect moment worth it and just run with it. The next key would actually be talking about is knowing when to throw jokes and when not to actually say some jokes. This is where a lot of photographers actually miss it. A wedding day is actually characterized by a lot of emotions, is actually characterized by a lot of pressure. So you don't want to throw in an insensitive joke at a very sensitive moment. So actually the best thing for you to do as a wedding photographer is actually to read the room and know when to actually put out jokes to make your clients feel better, and also know the point in time when not to make certain jokes. Knowing the kind of jokes that is appropriate for a certain time and knowing the kind of jokes that are not appropriate for a certain time is also very important, because knowing this will save you a lot of embarrassment in front of your client. So actually making your clients feel better is very important, but knowing the kind of jokes to actually put out at certain periods and knowing the kinds of joke to not put out at certain periods, it's very important. You cannot miss this. It is best for you as a wedding photographer to actually acquaint yourself with the personality traits of your clients or whoever you are shooting. It is also best for you to acquaint yourself with the religious and the cultural background of whoever you are shooting, so as to know the kinds of jokes to actually put out on a wedding day. For example, there are certain jokes that may not be moral and may not be welcomed by devoted Christians or Muslims. So it is important for you as a wedding photographer to know the kinds of joke to actually put out. Also, making jokes about insecurities of whoever you're shooting, that is your client, your bride, or the groom, is very important. You should never, as a wedding photographer or as a photographer in general, make a joke about an insecurity of your client. That will just make you look very insensitive and embarrass you in front of the client, making the whole situation very awkward, making the whole session very awkward. So what you can do as a wedding photographer is actually to acquaint yourself with the personality traits, the religious and the cultural background, to know the kinds of jokes to actually put out there. As a wedding photographer, you don't want to make a joke about the groom being too short on his wedding day, or make a joke about the groom being short on his wedding day. First of all, no man wants to be referred to as being short. You shouldn't make a joke as a wedding photographer about the height of your groom. You shouldn't make a joke about the height of the bride. Some ladies are insecure about the height difference between them and the groom. So it is important for you to not make some insensitive jokes about the insecurities of either the groom or the bride or whoever you are shooting. Actually focus on making jokes about things they feel so good about and on topics that are very moral, that you know would be welcomed by whoever you are shooting. It is very unwise for you as a wedding photographer to make any joke about the ex of the bride or the ex of the groom. You don't know the situation that may have happened in the past with the couple, so you wouldn't want to make any jokes about the ex of the bride, maybe the ex-partner of the bride or the ex-partner of the groom. You don't want to make any jokes as regarding any of that. Make jokes that are appropriate and know the kinds of jokes to actually put there, so as not to look stupid in front of your clients and so as not to make the entire session very awkward. It is important for you to master this technique to be emotionally intelligent in dealing with your client. You don't want an awkward situation where you make a joke about a sensitive area and cause a bit of chaos on a wedding day or on a shoot day with your client. That is what you don't want as a photographer. So you should actually make jokes in line with the belief system. You should actually make jokes in line with the personality traits, and you should make jokes in line with the cultural background of whoever you are shooting. This will help you to actually deliver the best experience and get amazing pictures and get really beautiful pictures and videos. The last point we would actually be talking about is using music as a tool to condition the atmosphere for your shoot. So this is where some photographers actually miss it. They discover that the shoot is actually very dry and they don't know the client is not so comfortable in front of their camera. They discover that the client is not doing things that they expect the clients to actually do. But then music is a vehicle that conveys emotions. So whenever you're doing a shoot or whenever you are having any session as a whole, music can be used as a tool to condition the atmosphere. I always use this as an example. I always tell people that I can get anyone or any couple to do whatever I want them to do if I have the right music that will make them do that particular thing. So you can actually use music to actually condition the atmosphere. As a wedding photographer, a wedding morning is actually characterized by a lot of pressure on the couple to get ready in time for the joining ceremony, in time to meet up with the programs for the day. So the couple, they are under so much pressure. So what you can do as a wedding photographer is actually play songs that are in line with that particular moment. Playing very calm songs and songs that would actually calm them down and just slow down a bit the pace of the day, so that they get to experience and feel the emotions of their wedding day rather than just rushing through it and just rushing through their whole day. It is very important for you to actually condition any environment that you are as a wedding photographer using music. You can get a portable music Bluetooth speaker that you can take anywhere and actually just use it to your advantage. Trust me, you would get amazing results for your pictures and your videos on a wedding day if you have the right music playing in the background. On a wedding morning, if you discover that the bride or the groom is under so much pressure, you could actually play very calming songs. You can play songs of gratitude, because on a wedding day, part of the feelings that a lot of brides, a lot of grooms would have is the feeling of gratitude, being grateful for the journey of moving from the dating process to the engagement process and then finally to the wedding day. So a lot of people actually feel that emotion of being grateful. So actually playing songs in line with that particular emotion would have them being very calm, and it would even have them being more relaxed to take really good pictures and to make amazing memories for your client. It is important for you as a wedding photographer to actually acquaint yourself with the personality traits, the religious and the cultural background of your couple, so as to know the appropriate songs to actually play at different moments. The songs to actually play for a Christian bride is different from the songs you would actually need to play for a Muslim bride, and it is also different from the songs that you would actually have to play for people of other religions and other cultural backgrounds. So it is important for you to actually acquaint yourself with these personality traits, the religious and the cultural background, and then know songs that are in line with their person. You can even move as far as asking the friends of the bride or the friends of the groom to actually just tell you or let you know the kinds of songs that resonate with the couple, the kinds of songs that resonate with whoever you are shooting. So it is important for you as a wedding photographer to condition the atmosphere to get amazing pictures for your client. Just like making insensitive jokes, it is very possible for you as a wedding photographer to actually play insensitive music, songs that are not sensitive to that particular moment. Take for instance, if a bride is actually broken down in tears or actually having a meltdown, the kinds of songs to play in that moment is different from the kinds of songs you play when she is very excited and very happy with her friends and her family. It is important for you to also read the room to know the kinds of songs to play. It is also not out of place for you to actually ask the couple what their favorite playlist is and actually play songs in line with that particular playlist. This would actually make them very comfortable, and it will give you the best results for your pictures. It will elevate the pictures, elevate the mood in your room, and overall give a very beautiful experience to your clients. By following these different steps, you would, as a photographer, being able to elevate your emotional intelligence to deliver premium service to your clients. We hope you've been able to learn a thing or two from this video, and we hope to bring more tutorials your way. Kindly support us by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to this channel. You can also hit the notification bell to be notified when we drop our next video. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.